Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is also to the President Donald Trump. I agree with that protester, and you've said it yourself, that Jesus is above you, and God is the Father, and God is above me. Marshall is marital scrambled, and I, Christ, am the bridegroom, and I can easily prove it to you with Psalm 18, Psalm 19, and Revelation, the root and offspring of David, and the bright morning star. I've also proven that the miracles are figurative. Please see my proof on Christ's playlist. I want you to stop deporting people. I want you to create a region for illegal immigrants and to integrate them as much as you can with their families here. And if it gets too much, those regions should be able to accommodate them. I want you all to see my War on Poverty plan at the end of this video. Again, see my proof on Christ playlist. I prove it masterfully that I am Christ. I don't want the president to be offended by this video. I want him to just do the right thing. It brought tears to my eyes when I saw that woman, Hispanic lady, in the video I saw, and I put it on the screen, that she said, "He's not the boss, only God." She's absolutely right about that. Moral law transcends secular law, and secular law should be based on moral law, not the other way around. There are moral absolutes that come from God. That's a bit hard to talk right now. They're trying to take away my freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, and they basically have. I urge you to see my 7-point War on Poverty plan, ask about my global farming plan, and my healthcare analysis plan. I also want the writers, again, to organize peacefully. Let's organize for the War on Poverty plan. Get the message out, even if you have to put banners on your homes. Get the message out about the War on Poverty plan, my region plan. Get the message out about the global farming plan. Get the message out about my healthcare analysis plan. So I call to an end to the violence associated with the riots and for peaceful debates and discussions. I don't want any more law enforcement agents being hurt, any more protesters, men, women, children, you name it. I want people to scramble to do what's right. I also call for the churches and the government to work with me in regards to discussing our differences in interpretation of Revelation. This is key in this as well. A lot of people are suffering in this country because you refuse to pass my 7-point War on Poverty plan. I know you have your political postures and constituents, but we need immediate legislation to address the problems that we see. Housing, crime, immigration. We need food programs. We need to effectively address the healthcare issues. And stay tuned for this whole video so you can see my 7-point War on Poverty plan. My global farming plan basically is billions of dollars from developed nations to help feed the 9 million people or so who starve to death every year, and everyone else who's poor around the world. It can be done. It's cheaper to farm in other nations, and we could help them a lot more if we help them with their infrastructure issues that are related to agriculture, farming. We also need farm programs here. There's a way to help all the poor in the world at the same time. There's plenty of money for that. The wealthy in America alone have $162 trillion in assets. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you love me, obey my commands. Pass the war on poverty plan. And the government doesn't want to budge on this from what I gather, and it's sad. Some of them probably do. We need to organize, and we need to help them see the error in their ways. It saddens me that people won't scramble for this pinpointed plan. This is the way forward. The way, the truth, and the life. A righteous life. Do the right thing. Be in the right state of mind on the right path. Do it the right way. People often tell me that what I'm talking about doesn't reflect how things work. How things work harms people, rich and poor alike. It harms the children. People are starving to death all over the world. You have to understand the difference between a liberal and a conservative when we look at the textbook definition, historically. A conservative wants to conserve the ways of the world. In the West, for example, a Western conservative wants to conserve the pagan system. The churches are pagans in the closet. The liberal, or a liberal, is the idea of somebody who wants to change things. Now, people have all kinds of different ideas about how to change things. The answer lies on the side of the argument that has to do with changing things, not conserving the spirits, the pagan spirits of the cities, etc. And that's why there's somebody interrupting my video right now by setting off their car alarm, so I'll end it right here. Okay, so let me just briefly go over some of the stuff in the first video. It's a short 3-minute video, and you'll see that I'm right. When you look at Proverbs 34, where it tells you who the Son of God is, in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, what have you, it's the same idea, the same soul. As you look at what it's saying, you have no idea what it's saying unless you know that the Bible is speaking in a way that's figurative. If you don't know that, you have no idea what Proverbs 30, verse 4 is saying. And in Proverbs 1, it says that the book of Proverbs is there to help you understand the other books in the Bible, the riddles, the parables, and the sayings of the wise. Proverbs 1, verses 1 through 7 or so. It makes it clear. So that overkills that Proverbs 30, verse 4 is talking about the Son of God. So it says, who has gathered up the wind? New Living Translation, who holds the wind in his fists? And we see in Bible Gateway that the Greek word for wind is the same as the Greek word for spirit. We see that it talks about him wrapping up the waters in a cloak. And this will lead us to Revelation 17, where it says that the image of God, the message of the image of God, is that the water stands for the peoples, the nations, the multitudes, and the languages. We see in the book of John that the water stands for the Spirit. Do the peoples have a spirit? Yes. Do the nations, do the multitudes, do the languages? Yes. Now, languages first and foremost refer to your soul language, your spirit language, if you will. You see how I must be right now? It's clear cut. You'll notice in my playlist there's no viable counter-argument presented. And I made many videos where I point to that playlist. And I made many videos where I get a lot more views than that video. And no one has a viable counter-argument for me being the top martial artist ever possible and the Son of God because of my top martial arts challenge and who I am, which I'll go into in another video. Okay, because who I am and the wordplay around black belt, Kuro Obi meaning black belt, Obi is Igbo spelled backwards. It's a long story for another day. I want to make sure you understand what we're talking about here. So we see in the book of John how it starts. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You see how the language is a bit tricky there. So it's not speaking directly. They're not saying, hey, Jesus died on the cross and rose to life, and that's all there is to it. No, it's speaking in a way that's a bit confusing. It's a riddle, it's a parable, it's a saying. The number 3 is a number that's significant in the Bible. In fact, the name of one of the books in the Bible is called Numbers. The book of Numbers. That's how much they want you to think deeply about what's being said. So the churches are like Flanders from The Simpsons or something, putting things in a way that's shallow when what is being said is deep. Exodus 15:3, the Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. It's a warrior language. It's a deep, righteous, martial art warrior language, right? Martial is marital scramble. I, Christ and the bridegroom. Proof, pro of. Profound. Proclaim. Who can proclaim the mighty acts of God? Psalm 106, I believe it is. Pretty straightforward. In John, it talks about springs of water welling up in the people who are hearing Christ. And it says, by this he meant the Spirit. So the wind is like an aspect of the Spirit. It's a way of viewing the Spirit. It's a component of the Spirit in the sense that the wind is an attempt to describe the Spirit. And the wind, in a sense, has its own spirit, at least when it's not manipulated by technology. And the water, okay, refers to kind of the cleansing aspect of the Spirit, purifying oneself to get the pure Spirit of God, what have you. So when Christ turned water into wine, he explains that the wine represents the blood that was shed for God. So the water, which is the Spirit that comes into the world, right? The Spirit that it was given, the Spirit that was received, the Spirit in which it's conveyed. And as people die for God, it turns into wine, which to the people then, at least at times, had more value than water. So picking up your cross and following the Son of God. John 11:16. Then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of his disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. Matthew 26, verse 35. But Peter declared, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the other disciples said the same. So the goal is to serve God with all your heart and to die for God, with God in your heart. After living a righteous life, picking up your cross. The greatest commandment, love God with all your being. He says, Christ is a character in the story. But greater love has none than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friend. So you see, people are being misled about the point of the Bible, right? It's a martyr religion. The word martial is like the word martyr. It's also like the word Mary. The word Maria is scrambled in the word martial. And that's not a coincidence. You have A for alpha, and there's all kinds of other connections as well. So you see, when it says, going back to Proverbs 30, verse 4, it says, who has gone up to heaven and come down? How? In the Spirit, right? You got to kind of take off with the wind. The wind carries you up in a sense, right? The Spirit carries you up. Well, how do you do that? In the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order, Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic language. Ham begot Cush, Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod was a mighty warrior before the Lord, and he was before Abraham. Before Abraham, I am the Spirit. Right? Noah. Nimrod. Babylon was great, then it fell. Why was it great? Because of the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. And Abraham, Ham, he said, he was aware of the proverbial saying, like Nimrod, a mighty warrior before the Lord. So you see what I'm saying? To remove martial arts from it is insane. In fact, how is Christ described in Revelation toward the end? How does it start? How does it end? The root and offspring of David, warrior King David, David versus Goliath, single combat. And the bright morning star, Revelation 19, the heavenly warrior defeats the beast. Now, I don't want to get too into it. I went further into it than I wanted to. It's in the Proof I'm Christ playlist, because I know these things are a bit complicated. If you have any questions, put in the comments. Isaiah 30 is also a key one here. Isaiah 30, going down to verse 30. The Lord will cause people to hear his majestic voice and will make them see his arm coming down with raging anger. and consuming fire with cloud, burst, thunderstorm, and hail. So is his arm literally coming down? No. But why is it compared to that? Why is the prostitute in Revelation compared to a prostitute? Because there's a strong and deep connection there. So when you're looking at martial arts in the Spirit of God and Spirit of God's wrath, right? Is it Conan the Barbarian? No. Is it a Roman soldier? No. Is it an American soldier? No. Chinese military? No. Chinese Kung Fu? No. It's a monotheistic, morally precise, universally morally precise, divine martial art order and the accompanying spirit. And so there's the thunderstorm and hail. And those of you who know the Bible pretty well, you know Christ said, as a character in the story, I am, and you will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, right? His arm coming down with raging anger and consuming fire with cloud, burst, thunderstorm, and hail, and whose hands have gathered up the wind. New Living Translation. Who holds the wind in his fists? Who has wrapped the water in a cloak? And we see in Isaiah 59, a cloak of zeal. So it's hard to perceive that zeal. What is going on here, right? It's like a cloaked zeal, because key components are not clear to people who aren't, in the spirit to the extreme. And even then, only God truly sees it for what it is. But I, with my falcon vision, see it more than other people. And thus, only the Son of Man has truly seen God. You see, I've explained things in a way that must be true, and other people, they do not have a deep and profound proof. Pro of what? Deep monotheistic martial arts, mind, body, soul, and spirit. Profound. It goes beyond Western culture. It goes beyond boxing and football. It goes beyond the churches. Profound, deep. The most high, the most deep, spiritually speaking. All matters of the Spirit are deep matters. All shallow explanations, therefore, are false.